Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday Brief on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Nkrumah Circle. This afternoon we have more on the fire outbreak at the Tudu Market in Accra last night, and also, as you probably are aware by now, doctors have ended their strike. We'll get some update on that particular situation. We have all these plus some briefs and some wellness coming up in the Midday Brief. Stay with us. In our first story, a fire last night gutted about 50 shops at the Tudu Market in Accra, destroying items worth thousands of Ghana cedis. The fire reportedly started at about 7 p.m. Personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service at the scene frantically fought before bringing the fire under control. The market women were forced to enter the market to salvage their wares. Meanwhile, Joy News' Abigail Adumaku-Inju reports that some persons were arrested for attempting to loot shops amidst chaos. This market is the second to burn in 3 days. The Katamanto market was completely gutted on Sunday night, and the cause of the Katamanto fire is yet to be established.
At 8 p.m. we got the information that there was fire outbreak at the market stall behind the STC yard. Because of our preventive measure we put in place to address the Katamanto issue, the police and military fire service came in quickly. And when we came, the advantage was that there was a yard and then the source of fire was closer. So the fire tenders could reach it. So we were able, the first fire tender was able to control the fire completely. The second one didn't do much. And we are saying that we were able to achieve it because we were able to reach the source of fire. People may wonder why Katamanto we couldn't do it. The standards were there, but to read the source of fire was a problem because there was no access route. Yes, and then the cooperation of the people here. In fact, we asked them to move out. They moved out. We doused the place with water, and everything was okay. Are going to be vigorously patrolled. All major markets now vigorous. We were doing it, but now that we feel there's a threat, real threat, we're going to man it 24 hours, and we want, as usual, cooperation from those who are patronizing the place. Everybody, there's going to be joint patrols between fire and police, supported by the military. Yeah, we're doing it strategically. We earmark the markets and then deploy. We put vehicles at vantage points like we are doing the visibility so that they can respond in shorter time. Somebody asked whether there was casualty. There was no casualty. Few guys, about 5 of them, who were trying to pull a fast one on us by picking some items, have been arrested. We will deal with them as according to law, but no casualty. We came in, we gave instruction, they listened to us and pulled out. We went in and fought the fire and killed the fire in quotes.
Well, that's the head of Human Resource Development at the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Patrick Timbila, telling us about how they fought the fire. But in the midst of it all, my colleague Abigail Adumaku-Inju managed to speak with some affected traders at the Tudu Market.
Oma lucky ye huni ekosusa ida say inyoma na ehihye no ebia ye nyoma o se ye hu because ye ntese enim ne ekosu ya lucky gate ye ntimi nko inside we nti ne o se hu say ebia nyoma na ye ekosu no ebia ye nyoma we na ehyi ana say apata we nyoma na ehyi say ne ekosu ne enim kwan a obia ne enim ne ekosu say ye po a watchman say o gate na ne lucky nti ye po a me what I know is say market bia obia po mo dum ni gadgets. That just be our doom, no. enti say de bia na jato jenu je bia na jato mu dey am say enti o mu function no mu ne bibi wo very bad
see you outside ni ese bia ahyekodo no o mu adum ja no enti afa ni epese ye ko inside ni ye ko hwese ja no e ko see he e bia bi nso be bia megina han ye bu mi store minim ashio minim ye na so say any time from 6 no ye mpon ni entutu na securities no enko rounds oh ye chairman wo ha ye wo securities wo ha ye wo chairman ye wo secretaries ye wo treasures ye wo niama wo ha enti se nipa wo ha ye wo nkrofo mo bekasa ma ye enya ye nkra ne say ye kasa why because e bia obi a ni aye krakra enti na enti one chairman no ba ono ankasa be ba beka
mo so wona mo madafo from kitchen say haseshi ba ye hwese na assembly si wo Katamanto na yempese be si wo ase nti ya organize your boys be 7 say ana woman kwamo en say de ho bajim ba so ye ko inside ne ka hwese na adne kwa na no say fire service no mu so no say ye boa but ye hwe ne de mo say edu ase ane akwa ase ye bodum ase be hwe na ase aso ne saa nti yedum ejani na ma jeno akofom but wo hwe se ne ajane esibe na efi wes ne se ne edano ebobobo nchanse no se na de wes ne nam chance no no and nam so ma sa cost of nyame sa ejana din na no eba ba kamenko a nkam se nkomo pon se na nkansa mu kofi a ebi o isi machine bia no I be like this and ombudum no ansa na mboko fi aha na yedi pa kakra enti ye wawa na yete say ye se Katamanto kwasi ada na ho ahye eja ye nyina yedi ho abobo a ye adwene ho enti ye wa no ma na eja ye sati say ye se ye mo nya adwuma ho na ye se kaka dia ni ahyehye because we yate say about 2 months ni yete say ye se ye ba hye ho no ema ye ni breye ema kwa ba say na bo 5 a ni ye mpanimfo na pamo ye se na ye be ya security no for no ebe ho be tight ema bibia nsi ho.
Well, in a related development, the fire service has rejected criticism that it is to blame for the recurring fires, especially in markets in recent times. It says rather than point fingers at the service, future fires can be averted as much as possible if the Ghana Water Company and the Metropolitan and District Assemblies are tasked to play their roles effectively. According to the service, its recommendations after investigations into the causes of fires are often ignored.
The country has experienced several fire outbreaks, with markets recording the highest of such cases. Statistics from the Ghana National Fire Service indicates that in the first quarter of 2013 alone, 49 commercial fire outbreaks have been recorded in the Ashanti region, the highest so far. None was recorded between January and March in the Greater Accra region until the recent fire outbreak at the Katamanto market. The fire service maintains congestion and illegal electricity connections are the main causes of these fires.
You have people tapping electricity from their friends, without getting qualified electricians to do that for them. You have people using multiple sockets with a lot of plugs in it, which is not supposed to be like that. You have people organizing chop bars in the market, and they do a lot of cooking. For instance, in Katamanto, there is a section where the place is more or less like a laundry. People put some metallic iron into open fires for them to use to iron second-hand clothing. When you get there, the level of heat over there, even the health hazards associated to it is something else. So there is a lot of illegal activity going on in the market, and these things are causing the fire outbreaks that we are seeing.
For him, agencies charged to implement the recommendations in their investigative reports have not been up to the task.
We conduct fire audits in these markets, and then we submit the reports to the municipal district authorities. They take care of these markets, a lot of these markets, they take care of it. So we submit our reports, and we expect that they implement the reports or the recommendations that we've made in these reports. It is the duty of water company to provide hydrants, and we use the water in the hydrant to do our work. if there are illegal connections in the market, the electricity company is supposed to handle that aspect.
The service believes fire outbreaks in the markets could be avoided if stakeholders will collectively play their respective roles. Getting access to markets during an outbreak of fire remains a challenge for the Ghana National Fire Service, but moving forward, the service plans to enforce relaxed laws over the years.
Per our law, we are supposed to close down premises who don't meet fire regulations. We need to have access to the market during fire outbreaks. And for that matter, we advise the AMA, the Metropolitan District Assemblies, to engage the fire service to ensure that we have these things in place. If it should take breaking down some parts of the market to ensure that the right thing is done, I think that is the best way.
Well, away from the fires, works on the Nkrumah interchange is expected to take off in July this year and to be completed in 18 months. The project, which is estimated to cost €74 million, will significantly reduce traffic congestion in and around Accra's Western Corridor.
Funding for the project is a loan from the Brazilian government and will be undertaken by a Brazilian construction firm. Details of the project include upgrading of transport terminals at the Nkrumah Circle. The scope of work covers a detailed engineering design, the construction of the interchange, the construction of a roll-over-rail bridge, improvement of the intersection of the ring road at the Fel-Eyor Road, and improvement of road drainage works. The first flyover will carry traffic from Ring Road Central to Ring Road West. In the opposite direction, an underpass is proposed with 2 lanes of traffic. The second flyover connects the Akasanoma Road to a 2-lane unidirectional roadways. The middle tier is a runabout, and all other movements will be streamed to the runabout. Facilities for pedestrians, cyclists and persons with disability will also be provided. The contract manager on the project, Alexandre de Vasconcelos Coutinho, explains the project design.
We are going to build a 3-tier flyover, which means that you're going to have a flyover coming from Ring Road east to west, okay? And this flyover is going to pass over the circle. This is going to be a 3rd-tier flyover. Then you're going to have a 2nd-tier flyover that takes the movement from Akasanoma to Nisawan and from Nisawan Road to here, to Accra Center, okay? This is going to be a 2nd tier. It means that in the circle itself is not going to have a huge traffic at all, because people who doesn't have any kind of business here in this area is going to pass through the flyovers. The whole concept here is to remove all the traffic that people who wants to go towards Obechebi, who wants to go towards Nisawa, towards Accra Center, to don't pass on ground level.
The Nkrumah Circle is a major arterial road network in Accra and is estimated to carry 84,000 vehicles a day. The acting director of the Department of Urban Roads, Abbas Awulu, explains the technical specifications for the project.
The Ministry of Roads and Highways have technical standards for construction. And so these are bridges that we have indicated clearly that they should be, the design period is 50 years. Some of them are 100 years. So those are the standards that we have kept to, and that is what we shall observe. Again, in terms of the traffic flows, we've designed them to a design period of 20 years. So that 20 years, that's what he did indicate. So these are routes that we want the level of service, even after the 20th year, shouldn't be anything below a D. So it means that the delays on that corridor should be very minimal.
He revealed that a committee would be set up to assess buildings and structures that may be affected by the project.
Well, I can't wait for that project to be complete, and at least ease traffic congestion in and around the Nkrumah Circle. But let's stay with the road sector, because the 73.1 million Ghana cedi Sofo Line project, which connects Kumasi to Sunyane, is behind schedule and is bound to suffer further delays. According to project engineers, the completion of the road is held up because a private homeowner whose residence is along the route refuses to accept a 500,000 Ghana cedi compensation for the house to be demolished. ABP Consult Limited, the consulting engineer for the project, is worried the project will not be completed before the new January 2014 deadline if government does not intervene somehow.
Construction works on the Sofo Line Road project started in 2007. The project is solely funded by the government of Ghana and will serve as a major corridor for goods and commodities, as well as commuters moving between Kumasi and Sunyane. Under the contract agreement, the original completion date was in 2010. The completion date was, however, extended another 18 months. Government has, however, since granted another 18 months extension as a result of delayed payment of certificates, which led to the suspension of construction works for some 9 months. But the consulting engineer says the impasse between the contractor and a private homeowner is threatening the new date.
That individual is holding the public to ransom because he brought in his private valuer to value the property. Land Valuation Board, which is government valuers, they valued the property to be about 500,000 plus. In fact, originally, we were not going to demolish the whole building. We were demolishing half. So the value was even less. And he said, when we demolish half of it, he can't use the other half. So we should go in and demolish the whole building. We agreed and got Land Valuation to value the whole building. And he brought his private valuer to value it. And now he's even disagreeing with his private valuer, and we can't demolish until there has been an agreement. In fact, if there is an agreement, then we can even demolish on a note that the money will be paid, but there haven't been any agreement, and now he's adamant.
When completed, the road will be 11 kilometers in length and will comprise emphatic concrete paved 6 lanes dual carriageway, an interchange bridge, pedestrian underpasses and a central flood lighting system. Meanwhile, Minister of Roads and Highways Alhaji Amin Suleimana has expressed his satisfaction at the pace of several road projects in the Kumasi metropolis.
If you have known some of these roads before, particularly this stretch where we are now, the Nkwanta, Damanko, going back to Jaskan Road, if I had known it before the present state, you will appreciate that there's a lot of work going on. Despite the challenges that we have in terms of our inability to honor the payment certificates of the contractors, but I think that I would say overall I've done a good job and they are doing well. Most of the roads that we have the challenges in payment are those that we are committing funds from our own resources. And, since 2007, thereabout, a lot of major roads have been put on the GOG, like the Tatakwache, Malam, Lagon Road, Tatakwache, the Suhum Road, the Afonko Junction, all those have been on GOG. So even though there are challenges, I think that the Ghana government has done very well. Most of this is from our own resources. So as I said, of late, the challenges that we have with our resources, a lot of competing demands for salaries and for so many things. So that is why we are having difficulties in honoring the payments. But certainly Ghana government will pay.
Several roads, including the Tech Police Station, Asokori Mampong KNUST Road, the Briman UGCC Sepe Road, and the Sawaba area roads have all been upgraded. The minister did not hesitate to warn defaulting contractors they will be prosecuted if they fail to meet the specified standards. Upgrading works on the 1.7 Abawa route roads in Kumasi is also about 30% complete.
You're watching the extended version of the Midday Brief on Joy News. We have some more stories right after this. You're welcome back. Now to the election petition hearing that's currently ongoing, and Presiding Justice William Atuguba on Wednesday blocked counsel for the National Democratic Congress, Chachuchikata, from proceeding to ask the witness in the box, Dr. Mamudu Baumia, to identify any further pink sheets in the ongoing hearing of the petition challenging the 2012 presidential elections. This comes after Chachuchikata secured a landmark ruling on Tuesday that allowed him to introduce pink sheets not tendered in evidence by the petitioners. Immediately after the ruling, some prominent lawyers for the NDC, including Nana Atudatsi, said the NDC could now forage into the votes of the strongholds of the New Patriotic Party. It was perceived that with the ruling, the NDC lawyer would be allowed to bring another pink sheet for identification by the witness. This he did, but on Wednesday, counsel for the petitioners, Philip Addison, raised another objection for the identification of another pink sheet. He said they disapproved of counsel of the third respondent, springing up surprises. Presiding Judge Justice William Atuguba sustained the objection raised by Addison. At the request of the NDC lawyer, Justice Atuguba read out his ruling given yesterday for emphasis. Away from the court into rather a sad development which happened not too long ago. A pile-up on the N1 highway on Wednesday led to multiple accidents, leaving at least one person dead, with several others sustaining serious injuries. The crash, which involved 10 vehicles, occurred at about 4 a.m. near the Apenkwa overpass on the La Paz-Tetekwashi stretch of the N1. The deceased, who was only identified as Obolo, and driver of one of the trucks, was buried under the sand he had gone to load with his truck. Reports said he had attempted to escape through the window when the incident occurred, but his vehicle also overturned, fell and covered him with the sand. The incident created a heavy vehicular congestion on that road and other adjoining roads in the Achimota area. The MTTU commander, Chief Superintendent Mohammed Suraj, gives accounts of the accident.
The tipper truck driver with station number GC 86711 loaded with sand from Kaswa was heading towards Medina. Unfortunately, the driver called John is deceased. In trying to join the NI, failed to observe traffic on the left-hand side, and then in the process, he hit the rear portion of another trailer. As a result, that trailer also hit another van. In that process, 10 vehicles were involved. So, at the moment, the deceased has been sent to the morgue, at police hospital. The injured ones were rushed to Achimota Government Hospital, and one is currently at 37 Military Hospital. So, in all, we have 3 have sustained injuries and 1 deceased. The driver of the tipper truck that hit, I may say, the cause of the accident, because he hit another tipper truck. That tipper truck also hit an van, and whilst trying to attend to those injured in the van, a zoom line also hit. In that process, 10 vehicles were involved. The manner in which we even responded to the accident give credence to collaborative efforts that have been put in place by not necessarily men of the traffic unit, but other related agencies. You would see here the road safety is also here, and then the Department of Urban Roads, even the National Security was called, and they gave us the bulldozer that came to clear the debris. So we are doing a collaborative effort, also drawing in the AMA to, as it were, help to also mark certain portions of the road where we don't have the footbridges. As you can see, people are trying to climb, which is quite dangerous. So what we're doing is that we also have the police patrol division, men on visibility, as you can see them strategically located on the NI, just to ensure that as and when necessary, they stop vehicles to allow pedestrians to cross. So there's a collaborative effort to all related agencies, the AMA, Department of Urban Roads, the MTTU, Police Patrol Division, and so on and so forth, just to ensure that we work as a team. And the ambulances are also being brought in to be strategically located. In event of accidents such as this, they can take injured persons to the appropriate medical facilities. We are doing the capacity building. We are now taking the sensitization to the doorsteps of the drivers. We want to meet them in the station, point out the defects before even people get on board. So we need the problem in the bud. So training is going on by my unit, both within our training schools, in the MTTUs, and also doing the sensitization on the radio media, if I've been listening, and also in the stations. So that when we notice a defect in the station, you don't even load the station. You don't even load the passengers. You offload. If you are found to be under the influence of alcohol, you don't even load. If your tires are defective, you don't even load. If your vehicle is not roadworthy, right in the stations. Through a collaborative effort with station masters of the various transport bodies.
Well, one of the drivers, beg your pardon, who was also affected by the incident, Eric Akwa, also spoke to our news team.
Also betu say we dey from ho nti we need dey from ho no so eden wo yi fa ho to yi fa ho na eden eto no de bebo me no ko ekoto enchen me dey taxi no side ni na say kra tipa truck na to from no ne driver no ono no we film and na me dey no mikita misiafo to omo so eko hospital nti nipa ba ko pe na me hu say we film.
Well, essentially, we're saying that one of the drivers who was trying to avoid the vehicle which had tumbled ran into his vehicle, and he actually had some passengers who was taken to the hospital. So that was what Eric Akwa was telling us about the accident. But away from that, striking doctors have finally suspended their 5-week-old strike, which lasted for at least 5 weeks, beg your pardon, and they've suspended it for at least a month. They are expected to return to work today. The doctors went on strike to demand payment of their market premium arrears as well as their conversion difference allowances. They also demanded a correction of anomalies in their pension contributions. Sources say an agreement was reached between the doctors and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission about a pay schedule ruled on by the National Labour Commission. The doctors have been slugging it out with government over their grievances for the past 1 month. They accused the government of showing little commitment toward addressing their concerns. At a point, the presence of 350 Cuban doctors in the country mitigated the effect of the strike. Other contingency measures were also put in place by the government to mitigate the effect of the strike. Also, a splinter doctors group, Association of Ghanaian Doctors, broke ranks with the Ghana Medical Association during the strike. But my colleague Yafusua Jemfi is touring the hospital facilities, and as and when we're able to establish link with her, we'll get an update from her. Okay, so as I said, we'll get an update from Ya as and when we're able to establish contact with her. But away from that, statesmen and renowned leaders of the country have been encouraged to share their life and work experiences by documenting them to serve as inspiration to others. According to renowned economist Kwame Pienim, such rich experiences must not be lost in time, but rather passed on to the younger generations to help shape their lives. He made this assertion during the launch of Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe's memoir titled Never Say Die in Accra.
Chronicles Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe's life as a doctor, military man, politician, a diplomat, sports administrator, coup plotter, and ex-convict. The memoir also gives vivid account of national event which Dr. Tamakloe was part of, whilst providing his perspective on the country's economy and politics. Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe, who co-authored his autobiography, stated that facts contained in the book should not be taken as final decisions on issues it touched on. Rather, they should serve as extra information.
In writing this book, I did not detach my personality from the events narrated. I did not evacuate my subjective perspective from the matters covered. Hence, the representation and the construction of the realities captured in this book are unique to my perspective, and therefore I acknowledge a possibility for other realities and explanations to exist. This book is consequently not intended to be a final say on the topics covered, but rather a part of a conversation on the topics.
Reviewers of the book generally agreed the narrative makes for interesting reading and does not lack the usual controversy that surrounds the author.
Significant proportion of these non-political aspects. These are interesting in themselves and in the way they have influenced the building of the personality of Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe. On the other hand, when he turns to the political and speaks or writes extensively, it is very difficult for him to stay out of controversy.
Here was Nyaho Tamakloe saying it as it is. I mean, it's like a painting on a wall, and you could see the wall clearly and you could see the paint. That's how I describe the book. It's been written in very simple English, 365 pages, straightforward, in a narrative genre. General Jemfra mentioned that he was arrested for an alleged coup plot. The man himself says, I took part. And I knew why I took part. General Minila, he mentioned the names and what was going on wrong, the reason for which I took part, the meetings, and no notes were written. So the man is telling a story. There's no allegation here.
It's an excellent book, and he ends on a high note. Let's never say that. He ends with the economy of Ghana, that all the things that we've gone through with the new oil found wealth, Ghana will survive, and that in spite of all these difficulties, using the never say die booster for Ghana.
The book, which was co-authored by Felix Lante Odate Wellington, son of Major General N.A. Odate Wellington, who served in the military during the Champon administration, and Dr. Tamakloe's brigade commander, come in hard and normal cover. The first autographed copy of the 400-page book was auctioned at 600 Ghana cedis, while 1,000 Ghana cedis was the highest amount paid for a copy.
Well, some news just coming in. The Minister for Information and Media Relations, Mahama Ayaraga, will deliver the keynote address on behalf of President John Dramani Mahama at the first All-Africa PR and Strategic Communication Summit in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia today. The address will focus on the ways that professional public relations and strategic communications are defining the emergence of Africa as the next frontier in global economic development. Several hundreds of public relations officials from all over Africa will converge in Addis Ababa for the summit. The summit precedes the gathering of African heads of state. So that's just coming in for you, and it's a statement signed by the Deputy Minister for Information and Media Relations, Felix Kwache Ufosu. Away from that, research has shown that Ghanaian men over 65 years of age are at a high risk of contracting prostate cancer. The exact cause of prostate cancer, like many other cancers, is unknown. Every year, though, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital records 120 to 130 new cases, with 20 to 22 deaths per that number. The disease, however, takes 10 to 15 years before manifesting. To curb this trend and improve upon the situation, the Grand Lodge in Ghana, made up of Freemasons, has embarked on an education campaign towards that regard, with the aim of improving lives.
According to research, prostate cancer is one of the leading causes of death among men. Hospitals in Ghana alone recorded 669 cases between 2004 and 2012. Most Ghanaian men who are ignorant about the disease do not seek early treatment, which eventually spread to other parts of the body.
But the thing is that you must seek help as early as possible so you can be properly looked after by the medical profession.
According to him, the Freemasons fraternity, which is made up of men with rich expertise in various disciplines of life, will continue educating people in various communities to know their problems and find solutions to them. Some members spoke to Joy News.
I think it's been an excellent lecture. It's opened our eyes to a lot of the things that we didn't know before about prostate. And I think it's something that every man should know about.
It's an enlightenment for we the Freemasons, especially we are men. And this type of lectures normally tells us our status of this prostate cancer, which have been being bellowed out all over the country. So I feel such lectures will be very useful to this organization per se.
Prostate cancer, unlike other forms of cancer, tends to grow and spread slowly before it reaches other organs and tissues, including the bones.
Okay, so on our Facebook page this afternoon, we're asking you, well, the doctors have called off their strike finally after lots of consultations and pleas and all that. It's finally over. Is it a little too late that they've called off their strike now? I'll be reading some of your comments in a bit, but if you also have any views on that, you can post it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Joy News. But before I get to reading those comments, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Al Hassan, on Wednesday visited the troubled Pemeli community near Nampanduri in the northern region. The acting IGP, who was there on a working visit, said he was in the area to determine the factors contributing to the endless clashes between the feuding Kokumba and Bimoba clans who have been fighting over a parcel of land. He visited some of the identified hotspots in the northern region, including Yendi and Gushegu, where he charged police officers there to live beyond reproach. At a meeting with the Bumpuruguyongyo District Security Committee, the acting IGP requested for enough resources to boost the morale of security operatives who are there to maintain order. Mohammed Al Hassan also pleaded with the Assembly to fix the problem of irregular water supply, which, according to him, has been a major challenge affecting the well-being of his men on the ground. He was expected to continue with his visit to Boku and Garu Timpani in the Upper East region. President John Dramani Mahama on February 2nd appointed Mohammed Al Hassan to act as the Inspector General of Police until further notice, as the then IGP Paul Tawiakwe was asked to proceed on leave. And let's still stay in the northern part of the country. The overlord of the Gonja land traditional kingdom, Yagbonwura Tuntumba Bore Esa the first, has re-enskinned the embattled chief of Buipe, Abdullahi Muhammad Jinapo, as a traditionally recognized paramount chief of Buipe or Buipeura at a colorful ceremony in the Yagbam Palace in Damongo.
The Yagbonra, in support with the traditional council, kingmakers, imams and elders of the Gonja land kingdom, enskinned the former police officer as the legitimate chief of the Buipe throne, following an amicable settlement of the impasse between the overlord of Gonja land and Buipeura, Abdullahi Mahama. The Buipeura Jinapo II was diskinned on the 14th May 2010 by the Traditional Council of Gonjaland for alleged misconduct. Subsequent to his diskinment, one Bonyapura Bawa from the Yafa Gate was enskinned as the Buipeura by the Traditional Council. These brought several hostilities in Buipe. Chief Abdullahi Mahama Jinapo, in protest against his diskinment, filed a suit at the High Court in Tamale and subsequently won the case. The Yagbonra stressed the need for all people of Gonjaland to coexist so they can together push the development agenda of the area. In an interview with the media after his re-enskinnment, the Buipeura Jinapo II urged the people of Buipe to see themselves as one people with a common destiny.
It is time for the whole Gonjas to rise up and fight this
here discussing with the SADA how to form the Farmers Brigade. And the pilot project will be taken off any moment from now. I'm therefore appealing to the government to listen to us. The Minister of Agriculture should listen to us. The Agricultural Development Bank should listen to us so that this Farmers Brigade will be viable and stop this poverty circle in the Gonja land.
He also pledged to work closely with the rival chief to bring developments to the area. The Buipera commended the government for playing a key role in ensuring that there is peace in Buipe and its environs.
Well, let me take some of your comments briefly. James Elom says it's too late. That's in response to the question that the doctors are back in the hospitals. Is it too late? He says it's too late. Eric Mesa says better late than never. Dede Agloe is asking so soon. Manchi Komla Asiwome says the myth has been broken. They can stay out as long as they want. Lava Laroy Lacoy says they are welcome. It is now the turn of the MPs and ministers. Benuferi Teve says it's never too late since there's no timeline for health. And the final one I'll take before we go for a break. Prosper Silenso Atichogbui says I will never thank God all because they are back, but ask them to raise their heads up to the skies. Will they bring back all the lives lost when their issues are addressed? Are people who died because of the money-loving behavior of these doctors, their blood will be on their head. Okay, so we'll take a break at this point. We'll be back with some more stories. Stay with us.
Hello, most of you call me Tarzan, but of course that's not my name. My name is Tarzan. I've been involved in Ghana's public life for 25 years now. For 20 of those years, I have given my own views on how the governance of this country has gone. I've done so primarily in the columns of newspapers. The premise was that I should be able to sound off my opinion, but also provide a good informed basis from which you either agree or disagree with my opinion. My opinions will be backed by the input of experts. Tarzan's Take. Join news on Multi TV. I think whatever you're doing, make a date with us. If you don't have a digibox, buy one. If you can't afford to buy one, become friendly with somebody who has one. Because it'll be exciting. Tarzan's Take. Join us. It's a new way of looking at it.
Tarzan's Take. Sundays 7 to 8 p.m. on Joy News, only on Multi TV and online www.multitvworld.com/streams.
Financial analyst has downplayed fears that the local currency will experience an unprecedented free fall this year. A report by Bloomberg quoting some local analysts had suggested the cedi will end the year at 2 cedis to the dollar. It has already weakened by about 3% this year and could go another 5% owing to greater demands for imports. Head of Databank Research Samson Akligo, however, says there is no cause for alarm, explaining the fall is being exaggerated.
A report describing the Ghana cedi as the worst performing currency in West Africa says the currency will decline to an all-time record low at the end of the year. Some think tanks have since latched at their report to suggest an imminent unprecedented fall of the cedi, they says, will trigger astronomical increases in prices of goods. Though Mr. Aklego does not quite share their apprehensions, he explains the pressure on the cedi is to be expected, especially because the country heavily depends on imports.
Developments in your current account reflects the position of your currency. And when you look at what is happening in the market now, you realize that most of the major exports for Ghana, their prices are not strong this year. And if that is happening, it means that the FS inflows for the country are not likely to be very strong. Now you are comparing that to the import or the demand for FS. And from the demand side, we are seeing some renewed pressure for FS. And if that happens, fundamentally, people should see the cedi weakening.
He, however, adds the fundamentals of the economy does not support a stronger currency, adding it will rather boost exports and make it competitive.
If you have a current account deficits, fundamentally you can have your currency appreciating. In fact, even if the capital account, which is the other side, is even getting your currency to be appreciating, it's not really healthy for a country like Ghana if you want to promote exports, because your exports become uncompetitive. So for Ghana, so far as we have a current account deficit, we should not have a strong expectation that the city is going to be appreciating, and but again, doesn't mean that short-term appreciation of the currency is unlikely.
He advises the central bank to educate the public not to expect an appreciation of the cedi, as it is not healthy for exports.
It is not a worse situation. It's not like we are not being hit by a currency crisis of sorts that we should be worried. But again, if we send a signal to the market that something severe is happening and we get portfolio investors to react to it, then there's going to be a problem. Clearly, it is true that the fundamentals of Ghana's economy does not support a stronger currency. Even this year, the government itself is expecting a current account deficit of about $4 billion. We are expecting the capital account, due to anticipated bond inflows, to actually be better. But nevertheless, the balance of risk does not indicate that the cedi will be appreciating.
For an import-driven country like Ghana, having imports paid for in dollars with only a $1.8 billion reserve, the pressure on the cedi is inevitable as traders seek notes to exchange. But considering that the local currency dropped from 1.6 to 1.9 to the US dollar last year, declining further from 1.9 to 2 Ghana cedis at the end of the year, cannot be described as that alarming. Abigail Adumakwenchi for Joy News.
We'll bring you some tidbits on how to stay healthy, and we're talking particularly about candida overgrowth.